Hello. Tell me what's happening.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. How's it going? Did
Good.
you sleep all right?
Yeah, I did. It was so interesting, my dreams. I have to share it with you because
Yeah,
um
please do.
well I am so busy. I don't normally have much dreams, so I've skewed the plug in. It was so interesting because it was going back into some scenarios that I had in my life, where I wasn't empowering my words and my perspectives now. And two people that were in my life that were very let's just be lazy and say narcissists, really made my life quite miserable because of their pains. And so I got to visit them being me in the lives that we've already lived. It's so bizarre. But I saw them with completely different perspectives and visions, and I actually got to speak my truth. And God, it was so empowering because my delivery was on point. So
It's always a good feeling, isn't it?
well, I've never had that before. It's so interesting. And then what they said to me was they want me to do emotional journeys, which sounds wank, right? Oh, emotional journey, come along with me and have an emotional journey. Fuck off. Who wants to have an emotional journey? No one, right? Like, no thank you. That sounds like I'd rather have a Brazilian, like it doesn't sound like fun. Anyway, so but they were saying to me in my dreams that to go back, and because when we think of any emotion, when we think of any event that has emotion, especially the traumatic ones, this is why people don't want to look at them, because they can put today's emotions to the side and draw in all of those emotions from then, that elephant, that traumatic thing. And so it's amazing how much we can draw past emotions and experiences to now. And then when people are looping about it, oh, that time I had this, oh, that hideous thing, or him, or her, we're bringing it into today's. And they are robbing and mind fucking our inner peace because we have invited them in. We're bringing them back in and having a mental party with them. And so the sort of saying, we have to go back, look at an event, be in center, be grounded, and be able to feel the feelings that triggered us then, that hurt us then, that trauma then, and go back and start identifying. So we're just labeling our feelings through that one traumatic day. So we have to remember the whole journey without tripping into fear and emotions and anger. It's like we need to feel them, but then quickly label them. And so maybe it's almost like we need to like write down the events, which I would never do. I would never be like, dear diary, today I'm thinking about that time. Like, no, I would just be like, that argument, how I felt. And then, actually I could have two lists now. How I felt through that argument, and actually what I was feeling from them that I did not know was theirs, that I was also adding on to my emotional.
You thought it was yours.
Yes.
All of it was yours, and it was actually half of it was theirs that you were picking up. Interesting. That's interesting.
So they're wanting us to explore. So we don't have to go back to traumas if it's too painful, but it's like this. We're going to do like method acting. So today we're going to feel pissed off. Oh, that's easy. We could just think about the crimes against humanity or something like that, right? Or there's people that refuse to step up and empower themselves or acknowledge that they're part of the problem rather than the solution. Like there's a little list that I could think of that could get me into being angry. And so then placing myself in that moment, how does it feel in my body? Like I can feel the tightness of not my lungs, but it's like below, it's like my organs, everything below my lungs feel tight when I feel angry. And so that does not feel good for the body. And so while we are trying to live our best balanced, free, happy days, when we think about anger or situations, it does put pressure on the organs. And I think because we are not the bodies, we're just tied to the bodies with these fantastic, our souls. And so we're literally trying to drive our lives with Ferraris, with these fantastic bodies, but also we're making, because of our driving skills, bunny hopping the shit out of it. Plus, it's diesel, and we've put in unleaded or something. And there's, we've never washed the car, and we've never, the tires are bald, and a whole lot of other stuff's going on for the car. But we're wanting an easy road with this vehicle, but yet we don't realize that every decision and choices that we make in directions, we could be really fucking things over.
Yeah. And also, I keep getting like, do you know when you used to have your driving test and the examiner goes bang on the dashboard? That's your emergency stop. You have, as soon as I whack it on the dashboard, that's your emergency stop. And it's like the jolt, which is kind of, I think, what's happening with me, like the jolt, where your body stayed there and your insides have just gone far ahead. Your soul's literally leapt out of your body because it's just such a jolt to your body.
Yeah,
it's that coming back together. It's like the emergency stop, like the brakes have been put on, like you have stop. But it's like, really, I know it's happening all the time, but it's like, I mean, clearly it's a run up to it, but it's like you can't see further. It's like you have to now look at it, inspect it. It's like that. It's weird, how it suddenly sort of like the body jerks you into, like, you're just literally there and just like, I'm seeing all this stuff I'm not registering. Of course, it's grounding, but it's really, and everything that you thought was okay isn't okay. It's like, ugh, it's like that really irritates. That's just, you don't want to be in your normal form, in the normal patterns that you go through your every day. So you change. It's not the life that you want anymore. Does that make sense? Is that quite selfish? Like, I don't want all this stuff.
I think part of the challenge that people feel is that when they have sessions, for example, and go on the new earth, run in the field in the new earth, feel the energy of, I mean, I just want to say I've never run on the new earth, like it's just I'm just present. But it does, because
you're doing angels in the grass.
yeah, potentially. It's just interesting because when you're there, and I think the soul just feels so liberated, and it just feels like this is how it's supposed to be. And it seems very frustrating when people are on the new earth reflecting on what's to come for them. And then it's like, why is this not here now? Why is this our planet, that our lives that we wanted to feel and see the evolution on this planet? It was supposed to be, a really big deal. And we've been robbed from that experience of shifting on this planet, because we've all been part of, creating the planet and working alongside Gaia and supporting her and wanting this all to be fantastic for all of these collectives to come together as brothers and sisters, to be able to help each other, love each other, and grow from each other. And it's like, once again, the brothers and sisters are fighting, and even within collectives. So anyway, I get it. Well, I didn't realize how wrong this way of life was, how we were super disconnected, and I didn't realize how much the corruption was there until you sort of wake up, and of course the corruption now and the hidden agendas now are fully out. They're not hiding, and they need
they're coming out thick and fast, aren't they?
Yeah, they need to be out to awaken people to realize, wait a minute, what's really going on here? And while you may not know about reincarnation or collectives, when those people are really focused on, this is one life, we've got one life, do every freaking thing you can because you've got one life, no pressure. No pressure at all. This should be inspiring them to be leaders, to step up and really honestly do stuff. Thank you, coffee man.
Oh, You've got a coffee man, flipping heck.
I do.
Lucky you.
So, well, this is what, when you were sort of talking about how that big jolt to the body, I think we get that when we wake up each day. And it's like, right, okay. I mean, not yay, jolt. It's more like, I think I need a coffee to ground myself. And I used to think, oh, probably, I thought maybe it is bad because so many spiritual people are sort of saying, I clear my auric field. I would never touch coffee, blah, 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 blah. I'm a vegan, blah, 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 because that's how I connect into, you know, be a pure vessel. And I'm like, well, how am I fucking winging it then? Because I know when I'm channeling, it's not me consciously. I know it's something else, something else. They're like, they use our pronouns.
What? Something else went far more than that. They want you to be happy. If coffee makes you happy, then they want you to be happy. So I mean,
well, I don't know if coffee makes me, I don't know if coffee makes me happy. I think coffee grounds me. And I had 3 coffees. I had 3 coffees the other day and I felt good. And I normally would have thought, oh, I used to have 1 coffee a day. I would, and maybe 2, and you know that would never be past 12. You know, I don't want to be up all night. And when I had my 3 coffees that day, I actually realized I have so much energy. I actually had so much energy, but it was a really good energy. It wasn't you know, it wasn't hypo, but it was like, I'm here to be of service. I'm here to work. And I'd already done like 2 sessions that day. And then I knew someone that I needed to channel for. And so I was like, last minute, let's go for it. And it was so good. They were just, it was such a good, so it was just such an amazing day. It was one of those days where you're like,
yes,
that was well done. That was well done.
Yeah, good pat on the back.
Yeah, like, not addicted. Finishing one. So for some reason I have recorded this, and normally we don't, right? I don't record sessions with you, it's private. But I want to hear what's going on for you. You're not on the screen, and we haven't said your name, but I want to hear what's going on for you, because my friend, I want to like be a real jerk and be like, you're not that special. What you're going through, everyone's going through. But no, it's not. You're special, unicorn.
The sparkles on. Yeah,
sparkles on. But forget about that, and we'll just see what this conversation is, because I want to hear from you honestly, and I don't want you to hold back. And I know that our last session that we had together, they said you're still worried about being seen and heard. Is that right? Or am I mansplaining your session to you?
Seen and heard, as in generally, or
what were they saying in your last session? Remind me.
All sorts, really.
Mm-hmm. We don't have to share the private stuff, but you know, the real private stuff. But I'm wanting to hear from you, and I know it's a real dick move, because I know that we were supposed to catch up as friends, but I want to hear your feelings and journey, and I want to feel into it for you.
Journey as in what?
Well, what's going on for you now? What's going on for you now? How are you feeling?
In my life? Yep. So yeah, since our session, I've literally can feel my bottom jaw quivering, just like before you literally burst into hysteria. But it keeps quivering, but there's just tears running down as if they're not my tears. Yeah. And I know I need to, so I'm wondering whether it's me, whether I'm picking up other people's sadness that I need to cry for, because it kind of doesn't feel like my tears, but I can feel this overwhelming, my body shaking, like it wants to go into a full-on meltdown. So, and just driving today, I couldn't, so I had to meet my partner and his sister. She's over, which was lovely. But after that, I had to escape. And I felt so ill in the car. And luckily he was driving in front of me, because I don't think I would have got home. But I just felt like getting home and passing out, this overwhelming feeling of like, I wasn't scared, but it was like, I feel so ill from all these emotions and knowing what's coming and trying to be the good person that you have to be, socially acceptable. Everybody does, you don't want to have everybody think badly of you. It's an inbuilt stage. You want to be always the nicest person and never upset anybody. But I got back and I talked to my neighbours briefly, and I felt so ill, and I just literally laid on my bed and I didn't move a muscle, not a muscle. I just stared outside to the garden and I didn't move a muscle, and my dog didn't even come anywhere near me. He just retreated out of the room, left me to it. So I was there for 2 hours and not moving a muscle. I just literally, I completely zoned out. I didn't think of anything. I just zoned out. So, and then coming out of it, my jaw still started to go. It's still the water, water running down my face. Still can't work out what it is. And just the things that are familiar to you seem like they're not yours, like in your house or your little possessions, they're not yours. And it feels very sort of spacey. Because there's a lot of people around me that aren't well, a lot of people around me on drugs and smoking, and I'm feeling really out of it because I've got it literally all around me. So it's really hard to focus and just be that love and light, the unicorn and empath. Of course there's all that going on. You want to be there for everybody. But as soon as that door shuts, you're just like, I can't deal with it. I can't even listen to music. I want to sing, I want to dance, I want to put the music on, I want to dance, get rid of it. But I haven't got the energy to do it. I just sit there and I zone, literally zone. And then, of course, Shireen goes, you need to be doing something, because you can't just sit there and do nothing. You have to be doing something, because that's what is expected of you. If somebody says, what have you done today? You can't say, I've just laid on the bed for 2 hours and I've zoned. So it's being kind to yourself, but it's certainly and then you get cross with yourself because you think, I should be doing more than this, but I just don't have the energy and I just don't have the willpower. And that's just like, my God, what on earth is going on with you? This is just not good. And even the dog's staring at me like, get a grip. But yeah, it was really weird, and even opening the door and getting the air still isn't satisfying the lungs. It's still not coming through the lungs and clearing them like you do on a windy day. I know it's been hot recently, but on a windy day it clears your lungs, but that's still not satisfying it either. So there's sort of no chance of blowing the cobwebs away. So yeah, so it's all sort of yeah, and then it takes over you so much that when you try and walk from one room to the other, then you sort of like wobbling, and then you disorientated. It's ridiculous. So I haven't managed to put my keys in the fridge yet, but I'm not far off that. So everything is just totally, and I keep seeing white lights around me, like a flash of white light. So that keeps going off. So it's all very quick. But yeah, it's really, I wouldn't say I'm scared. It's just that I don't know who I am at the moment, because there's so much going. This is not who I am. And then when you're with somebody that really, you love them, but they irritate the hell out of you, then you look at them and just say, is that me? Because it's irritating. Is it me is it me that's making me feel like this, or am I taking on their emotions because they haven't sorted out their stuff because they're so full of ego? So So is it my energies? I'm thinking, is it my energies, or am I taking on other people's energies and trying to work through them? And maybe that's why I'm completely in this position where I'm just like sitting there and not functioning. I'm just there, do you know? So it's a very strange situation for me at the moment, but yeah.
So lots of feelings, and I can imagine it just in general, it just feels so foreign. It's that, who the heck am I? And so you had that partial walk-in, which is Palladian, who feels like they are soul family to a lot of your neighbors and community, that you can feel that the reason why you're feeling like a newborn is because I think that souls may not have come back to earth before, or they did when it was totally different energies. And so they've come in because they know the crucial time for now. They want to be able to feel what's actually going on. And so instead of being born, you jump into, you know, a fabulous lady like yourself and be able to have more control drive of the life. And so this is why, you know, you don't have that be a baby stage and kind of get attuned to it. You're that soul essence that's more in control of your life, even though they know exactly who you are and they're not, you know, going to sabotage your life. They're trying to familiarize themselves, but they're looking, so they've read a book about you and they've seen sort of photos and pictures, you know, but it's kind of like going, you know, on a holiday. We were like, yeah, that looks amazing, you know, and then when you arrive there and it was like, well, that was very clever photography, because, you know, that wasn't the same sunny day that we were promised, you know, blah, 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 blah. So this Palladian soul is feeling it all, and it knew that it was going to be a challenging experience, but it was kind of your soul, actually you needed to be doing other things, but your vehicle needs to be here. And while you've got this great vessel of high frequency energy, this Palladian said, I'll give it a go. I'll take you for a spin. And so, but the air, it's very different. Like, so everything is very foreign. And so could you imagine, you know, this little tourist coming in to feel in and to help humanity and to absorb density? And I think often we know at a higher level what's coming. But I think when you feel it, when you hear in this density, you would be quivering. You would be breaking, like heartbreaking, to realize, oh shit, this is serious. This is real. This is not a joke. And when you look at the brochure of coming to earth as a walk-in, as a Palladian, to be in a place where you've got lots of soul family and you can really help with your energy and be able to witness and experience it coming back. This is why your dog doesn't, I mean, I love him, but he also knows that this major soul essence that's coming in, it could leave tomorrow. We don't know how long the soul essence is touring earth, but even your dog doesn't recognize it. And so your dog is still waiting for your bigger soul, if it comes back or does whatever. But this energy of who you are, I mean, it's having a moment to just focus and get attuned and accustomed. And it has come in to support others, but it's a lot. So, you know, when you go traveling, all the sights, all the smells, everything's very, very new. It's very draining. And the energy is a lot. Lots of my clients who haven't even had walk-ins, their subconsciouses are saying, rest. And people are like, can I do some running? And the subconscious and I are saying, no.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
So part of loving ourselves and respecting ourselves is taking the time when our bodies are just like, end scene, you're done. Watch a shitty movie, pretend to be reading a book, do something to just, you know, and again, do you care what other people really think? And, you know, this is your life. I'm taking some time out. I'm doing a spa treatment. You know, like, if it doesn't matter what we are doing, if people aren't respecting our choices to have some reflection time, self time. I mean, just because you laid there for 2 hours, I mean, you're still doing big stuff, even though they may not understand it because, you know, it sounds too woo-woo. You know, you're working on you. You're working on the planet. You're working for humanity. So whatever labels and statements you want to say to be able to sort of sell pitch that as a, you know, leave me alone. You cast your judgment somewhere else, but it's you that feels like you should be doing more. And it's like, I can feel your team screaming, she's doing more. You are already doing more. So you are amazing. And you know this. I mean, you are fantastic. And you're a really special being. And to be able to allow this Palladian, who is probably homesick, probably shocked to shit about the state of the world in true non-glossy advertisements, to be here, it's a lot.
Yeah, that would explain, because it feels like me that wants to cry and the quivering, but
yeah,
I tell you, but inside of me, I'm literally devastated, and I'm just so overwhelmed. But of course, I've been here on the planet for a while, but I feel inside really overwhelmed and like, what is all this? What is, I'm just like, oh my God, what the hell? So that would explain an awful lot. Yeah. What's going on?
When we know that if it's just about love, when we know it's about, you know, dropping the experience that have been teachable moments for us to empower ourselves to love ourselves and love others, and to still have a high frequency and see life as good and purposeful and meaningful, and to be kind to ourselves and kind to others. I mean, that's so easy. And it's such an extra effort to be that grumpy person that holds on to anger, holds on to resentment, holds on to blah, 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 you know. And so what you're really upset about is just the state of the world. It should never have got to this point. And so while you do have respect and love for everyone's journey, it's a fucking piss take at this point, you know, because it's not you know, radical thinking to remember we're supposed to speak our truth, to remember that we should be sharing our thoughts and feelings with each other and not censoring ourselves in case we accidentally say the truth, which could trigger someone into thinking for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really weird because, and also I'm sort of changing my appearance too. So my appearance is gradually changing because it doesn't feel like me. So something else is changing my appearance. Maybe it's my appearance, how people see myself. But I can feel it gradually changing. So I don't want dull colours. I'm going into bright colours. And, you know, like wanting to put like flowers in your hair. It's just really weird. It's like, you know, it's like this real urge to do it. And it's just like, my word, what's going on? What is going on?
That's
all these bright colours.
That's the that's the Palladian needing more high frequency to support its energy field. So we know that lots of bright colors, you know, uplifts us, not just ourselves energetically, but the power of the vibration that we're sending off to others. So your Palladian soul essence is trying to give everyone jazz hands and joy, and trying to figure out how else to use you to be able to uplift everyone. But while you're trying to uplift everyone, you're also trying to steal their density from them, because for that brief moment they're allowing themselves to feel uplifted because you are fantastic. So when they see you, oh, you are so joyful, let's communicate. So then they can feel you, uplift you, sparkles and sunshine, and your soul essence is like robbing them blind of all their density for that brief moment that they're allowing themselves to have fun and want to be with you and want to feel uplifted, want to feel your energy. And so you're like, that's a side hustle, stealing all their density. And then, you know, they feel great, and you have been left with all of their baggage to be able to produce, to release and to let go of. That's why you need some time out, because you can't, because you are that massive light, you're that massive candle, and all these moths with all of their baggage of density coming to visit you. And that's fantastic, but you do need to recharge. You're doing a really good job of uplifting people, but it comes at a balance of your own. When you flicker the flame too much, it can almost go out. And so we are here to remind those moths that they have their own candles and that they should be lighting their own path, lighting their own flames, and empowering and growing their own candles, their own flames of light, versus trying to extinguish ours through their own lack of inner work and perspectives.
Yeah, and it's also good because that makes total sense. It's also good because some people, if they find something that works for them, it's people sharing it with other people, not through ego, but just of like sharing it rather than keeping their ideas to themselves. If people want to go around and do that, then do that. What's stopping you? Do it. And again, it doesn't matter what other people think. If it makes you happy, then do it. But it's like, what makes you happy? If you ask many people, they don't know what makes them happy. What is it that brings you joy? I've never thought of it. Well, how about thinking about it? I remember when I was a child, I used to do finger knitting or something. Then do that. I was like,
so true.
Remember who you are. Remember that gave you that little light. So it's but then you can just, it's just a passing thing, and then you move on, and then it's a ripple effect, isn't it? So it helps other people, but it does make you, when you come back, with many of us come back and you don't know who you are or anything, but it's giving yourself the privilege to say, do you know what, if you sit there, the dust is always going to be there on the surfaces, but it will get blown off when the wind comes in. If you just have that time to you. Does
that work for folded and washing as well? If I leave my doors open, do you think the wind will fold my washing?
No, I thought you had the elves in the house. I thought they did it for you.
Those elves would be calling elf abuse
put it
service. Elf abuse service.
I love doing that job. I'll come round.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, we'd keep you though. That's the problem. We would never leave.
I'm fine. So it does make, it is
I think
it's a very strange feeling.
I think that's such a great thought, is what does give us joy. And the thing is that things that used to give me joy, I'm comfortable with that. So like I've done in my creativity careers, I had a painting studio, I had a photography studio, I had a pottery studio, all at different points in my time of my life, which I really loved. And I was, I enjoyed being so creative. And now, with all this work, it kind of felt like that was your playtime. Now this is your serious focusing time to be able to really be here. And because I didn't realize that when I was in the painting, in the photography, and even in the pottery stages, when I was creating, I was actually meditating, and I was actually, what did you do all day? Oh, for 17 hours today, I just played with clay. Here's my results. But what I wasn't even knowing with myself and sharing with others is that, actually my body was doing this play. And actually I was somewhere else. I was connecting in, and I was getting downloads and a whole lot of stuff. I didn't really understand myself and what I was doing. But, I needed to present my hard earning days and blah, 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 blah. And I still believe, that my pottery is so high vibrational because I was in that state of that, really, and I just used to I used to love making hearts. And so when anyone I knew, I would be giving them little pieces of pottery that was infused with love, and it's so grounding, and it's just so textural, and there's so much going on there. But for me personally, this work felt like it was more significant than me playing, because, while, giving love is cute and all, and little pottery pieces, these sessions are so profound. And when I was doing the bone work and releasing the density of the bones, that was fantastic, but it was one small aspect of what was going on for them. And, in the sessions you can explore and expand, and so huge huge thing. Like I can understand, you know, when a session's done well, that could be their whole life's needed session, that one session. I know lots of people have many sessions, and that's all fine when they apply the information. And, you know, we have selective hearing.
Yeah, I only thought it was down to one part of the race, but it looks like all of us.
I hear when I ask people about their joy, what do they do for fun? It's like they think I've said something else. It wasn't that F word fun. It was something else. They're like, what do you mean? Like
Exactly.
I'm too busy helping everybody else. I'm too busy doing this and this and this and this and this. And I'm like, but part of loving yourself is doing something fun for you. Oh, I can't remember what fun is. This is serious. The world's ending, blah, 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 blah. It's like, don't excuse the life cycle of a planet for you to avoid setting time for yourself to do fun.
Yeah. And also, I think the thought of going out on a high, I'd rather be in the middle doing something I really enjoy rather than hanging around waiting, because that's just, you know, I mean, it's a choice, isn't it? But I'd rather go out doing something I really love doing.
Yeah.
And making a concerted effort, but that would be lovely. Yeah. But
it's just
finding your joy, isn't it?
Yeah. And we forget what it is. And they sort of say it's usually the stuff that we loved doing when we were younger that is our true calling and passion. But we think, like, for one client, his joy was dancing, and he's like, as an adult, I'm not going to dance. Like, that's someone seeing an adult man dancing, that's ridiculous. They're going to think I've lost my mind. And I'm like, do you really care? If we're in our joy, do we really care what other people think and feel of us? Because you're not in your full joy if you've still got that worry of judgment. And, you know, this is significant. And, you know, dance in the privacy of your own home, if you will, to get your joy. They're wanting him to be joyful in front of everyone, to have that childlike, you know, silly goofiness. But I remember this one session I did with Andre where the elementals came in and just were laughing so hard and just being so joyful. And it went on for so long. I was annoyed at the beginning because I was like, oh, this is serious. We're in a session that should be serious. You know, your elementals are it was kind of annoying me. And then I was like, wait, what am I annoyed with? You know, just my expectations of how the session should go and the information that they should be giving me, because I'm asking questions. And I had to like actually surrender and accept, and then sort of like start laughing too. But so many people hated that session because, oh, that was just ridiculous. That was just blah, 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 blah. They were laughing. And it's like, well, yeah, some beings love to laugh. But if we're so miserable in our own effing lives that we, you know, don't like people laughing, I mean, that's it. Maybe some time to do some inner work.
I think sometimes, so when I went for myself, when I look back, how many times have I laughed in the last 6 months? Yeah, okay, you have a bit of laugh, but a real belly laugh. How many times do you go down the street or in the cafe and hear people laughing? It's very rare, because people have forgotten how to laugh.
Somber.
You know, because it's like, you know, we're so focused because we have put so much pressure on ourselves. We've forgotten how to laugh, and so you just don't hear people laughing. And if you laugh in public, they'll look at you like, what's going on? What's happened? Do you know? So that's so what true. It's kind of lost that echo of that laugh, you know, just to sort of like, it's when you hear someone laugh, it's like somebody saying to you, it's all going to be okay. Do you know, it's almost like resonates like a ripple. It's going to be okay, you know. So, but that's what we've forgotten, and people have forgotten how to laugh, because, you know, it's almost like what's there to laugh about when there's so much going on in the world. But it's coming out of that fear, and just like, give yourself a few minutes off and have a good laugh, you know. And if you want to go back to serious, which clearly, you know, life is not easy at all, but no, you can just have that bit of you know, just some laugh at, you know,
some upliftment. Yeah,
exactly that. Yeah, and it's so uplifting when you hear someone laugh. It's like a ripple effect, you know. It's contagious, isn't it? So but a real good laugh.
Well, when I'm around the most people is when I'm at the supermarket, and you can feel their fear. You know, they're afraid. They're afraid of how much it's going to cost them with this,
Yes,
everything going. They're afraid of touching trolleys. They're afraid of people without masks. They're afraid of everything. And so, wouldn't be much, there wouldn't be much sort of jolliness. And it's actually almost like you don't speak because you usually by yourself at the supermarket.
Yeah, you got your head down and
Oh my God. I was with Grayson the other day at the supermarket, and he saw this woman walking past him. He was sitting in the trolley and she was wearing a mask and he pretended to cough at her.
Yeah.
And I almost died. And then and he said to her, "Am I making you scared?"
No way.
And she just was like, she nearly crapped herself. And and I just sort of had to say, it's not funny to make them scared. But he could read her like a book, even though he's 3. So it was sort of embarrassing. I had to sort of say to him, you can't make them scared, but he can feel the attention so much that when he pretended to do a little cough, and then of course he thought it was hilarious, and so then he was doing big dramatic coughs, and I just was kind of like, this is too scary for them. They're too afraid of coughing. So
children are the biggest teachers though, aren't they? So it might have given her a bit more to think about, like, hang on a minute.
Well, it just I can't understand people wearing masks and then the children not wearing masks.
Yeah.
If it's so bloody deadly, well, let me have it too. I'll be breathing the same air as my children, thank you very much, because if we're all going to go down, Yeah,
it's like everything is a choice, isn't it? If you choose to wear one, that's great. If you choose not to, that's also great. Just it's a choice, isn't it? But
yeah, some people don't want to not wear a mask because they don't want people to feel scared or uncomfortable around them. But we naturally are uncomfortable around people energetically. So
generally, anyway, that's so true. And it's also when you have a mask on, it's you can't see what people are thinking. You lose all the facial expressions apart from the eyes.
Well, in sessions, they said it's to train people to be thought readers and to really connect in at a new sense. So when you remove this, you actually then having to feel into more the senses versus lazily reading the lips, saying things like, don't have joy in your life.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. Yeah, definitely, because you do have to be really attuned. One, because you can't hardly hear them.
Yeah.
So
I like I do like the metaphysical perspectives of it, but I still feel like they're so scared, so claustrophobic. And this was like the girls' teacher was telling me. I asked her how does she feel about wearing the mask, and she didn't want to answer me. She said all this other stuff, and I kept asking her. I asked her 3 or 4 times, how do you feel wearing the mask? And then and then I had to like simplify it and be like, how do you emotionally feel wearing the mask? And she still was like, complying, blah 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 blah, status of blah blah blah. And it was like it took me ages to be able to get her to be able to think. And as soon as she I'm going to hear you now because you're making it slow. I'm such an asshole. She said how do I feel? Claustrophobic. Now my children are around her and she is projecting being claustrophobic, and when you're claustrophobic, all you want to do is distance yourself from anything else as you're trying to escape from the world enclosing on you. And I just thought, so I was like, oh, so and you're not, how do you feel around other people who are not wearing masks? Are you in fear? And everyone's like, I'm not afraid, I'm not in fear, while they are feeling claustrophobic of everyone's energy. If you want to like go into what claustrophobia is, it's a fear of lack of space, so anyway, people aren't being honest with themselves.
is that they're not being honest with themselves because they want to fit in, or they feel they need to fit in? Because if they don't fit in, they don't want to deal with the consequences.
I think they're just doing things out of habits and expectations versus actually stopping and thinking if this serves them.
Yeah, exactly. Because basically we haven't really, because so much has been going on, that privilege has been taken away from us. Is actually what you want. We've lost it, haven't we? Is it what you want? And I know people think, oh yeah, well, we have no choice, we have to. Okay, understand that, but still you're a human being, and you can still, there are ways. But we've sort of lost that ability to be able to say, actually, have a real good think about it,
Well, I think that those people who are not wearing masks originally were aggressively wanting to confront people, and it scared them and shocked them and aggravated them. Oh, those non-wearing masks are just, aggressors and antagonists and all that sort of stuff. And, it's really not how it was. People were wanting to just be comfortable and respected with their choices. And if I don't wear a mask, how is that going to kill you? So it was just, lots of fun things. But the whole training people to feel into each other's senses without looking at lips, because we're trained to read lips. And it's almost like we read lips more than we hear.
I agree with that. Yeah, I lip read as well. For some reason, I don't know. But then again, is that everybody? Because some people are more audio, some people are more visual, and but I look at lips. But it's interesting to say that I lip read as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, these are our routines that we may not have even stopped and thought about. And I am seeing people who are not active listeners and not applying what they hear. And there is some, I know that people will start removing their hearing, and really they will stop focusing on what people are actually saying, because at a child's point of view, they heard terrible arguments with parents, they had terrible, they heard terrible things. And so they chose subconsciously or unconsciously to start tuning out the world and shutting down what they could hear. And this is why lots of children get earaches and a whole lot of stuff. They're actually trying to sever hearing. And it's really interesting what we do to ourselves to sort of shut down. I mean, I know for myself, I didn't want to see the world as it was. I didn't want to see people with their pain and their problems. So I started shutting down my visuals, and starting to like blur out the world. And I know I could heal myself with my vision and stop wearing the glasses. I know I could do that. But I also know that, this is what I chose to do to sabotage being here, not wanting to truly see the world as it was, because it was just too painful. It's a defense mechanism. I'm just wanting to shut down the senses of seeing people lying to themselves, seeing the pollution, seeing the energy, seeing all of it.
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
But I can own that I did that because I didn't know how to cope with being okay with what I was seeing.
It's a coping mechanism. But then again, aren't we all finding a form of coping mechanism? We
Absolutely.
just, we've just forgotten a lot of things, but it's just cope. It seems to be like a cope every day, trying to cope through the day.
Yes, we're supposed to be in just knowing what our responsibilities are and what our responsibilities are not. We can't heal the planet as much as we would love to, because Gaia is not our responsibility. Her collectives, her guides, that's their responsibilities. That's them. While we're all one and we're connected all to it, so many people get so focused on things that sort of isn't really their business, because while we could try to heal Gaia, and keep her here. I mean, that is like an injured animal that is an extreme amount of pain that wants to shift out of the body, and we're trying to keep it resuscitated and pumping in things to keep it alive and spread out that torture. Where, you know, if you take a deeply wounded animal, you would, you know, get it euthanized. Whereas we don't necessarily do that to our elderly who are trying to get dementia to shift, but people are holding them here.
Yes.
And, you know, it's so ironic when people choose to want to start leaving their bodies and preparing their families, they start bringing in dementia because they're really not here. You know, they really want to be away in a higher meditative state, whatever it is. Their bodies are here, but they're trying to say to their families, I'm aging. I'm at this point. I'm wanting to shift. I love you all, but look at what I'm doing. I'm trying to be absently here. So I'm physically here. You can see me, but I'm trying to move on. And ironically, those family members that love them all see that this person is, you know, having this problem. And so, you know, they're trying to bring in and give more energy, more efforts to keep that body alive, to keep that being here. So, you know, they will worry about that person and instead of accepting that they've had their life and that this is their choice to then step next to the next stage of their life cycles, these people worry about those who have dementia. And like, you can love them, but you're trying to hold them here. And the soul is waiting for you to accept their choices, to be okay with the fact that this soul wants to move. But it wasn't a brutal exit because they knew that that would be so devastating. So they're waiting for you to accept the fact that they've had their life. Now they're wanting to move on. And often it is when their soul partner has shifted and they want to go with, but they also realize that the family would be too unstable, too unsettled, too distraught if they did a quick exit too, because, you know, they're trying to be here for family. It's quite interesting when you look at the metaphysical perspectives of dementia.
That's a really interesting perspective. Yeah, very much so.
They're living for the living, but they really want to move. And, you know, it's, you know, and it's, they literally have to have their bodies so break down that they need, you know, to wear nappies and a whole lot of stuff and have such degrading, I guess it's judgment, like to have such awful quality of life for that person to actually see them for what they're doing, what their bodies are doing. Because someone can hold someone and keep praying for them and wanting healing and wanting them to get better and wanting them to be good, blah, 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 blah. But at some point, that person's got to realize this way of life living for them no longer serves them. And that's a lesson. That's an experience. And what they also were saying, which I don't know how I'm going to do it, but, you know, go back to a trauma where someone was teaching you a very painful lesson where they were being the assholes or whatever, and going back and thanking them for that lesson because you organized that lesson, you wanted that together. And so it was a contract. Should we really be angry with people that are fulfilling their roles to teach us lessons, to empower ourselves, to learn our moral compasses, to realize right from wrong, all that sort of stuff? I mean, that's a really hard lesson, and it's a really big teachable moment. We should be grateful and have great gratitude for all our teachers rather than be resentful and pissed off. You fucking made me grow.
Yeah,
it's a choice.
Yeah, and it's good, you know, it's really, it puts perspective on it, doesn't it? And that's what we're lacking, is perspective. You know, it's taking that, when you're full on in it, you know, like with dementia, or, you know, you've got, you know, I've got a family with dementia, but it's like when you're full on it, but stepping back and looking at it from a different perspective, and it's being able to have the opportunity to see it in another view, and then that gives you peace. You know, again, it's a choice, but it can give you a lot of peace and a lot of comfort, you know, because it makes sense. You know, it makes total sense.
Well, this is why I love those sessions, because, you know, people struggle with the limited perspectives of 3D, which we can understand and see. And then when we hear it from a, from a metaphysical perspective, those painful childhood experiences were always to empower ourselves. And, we can look back now and be thinking, wow, I'm a really independent, strong individual person. I go to myself for my permission to do my joy, to do my things. Yes. I don't need permission from my parents or my partner or something like that. I mean, it's, I think when people have parents that are loving them and coddling them, that's fantastic. But it seems like when you are supposed to have independent journey, especially if the parents shift away earlier, they're lost.
Yeah.
They have not had the training to be independent. So it's, I find this stuff so fascinating. And also when people have died and someone that I love died, and I'm so hurt and I'm so angry that they shifted and all this sort of stuff. And usually when I hear this and I ask them, they come into a session and they say, why did you die? That hurt your friend, blah, 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 it's how selfish of you. And then they're saying, yes, it was my time. It was absolutely life contract. And I'm sorry that they've taken it so personally, but actually it was for them to grow metaphysically and to realize that, we couldn't be that two-man-legged race because I needed my own journey. I'd completed what I needed to do. Now it's on them to step up. And if you've got codependency relationships in any form, really, when that person has to go out of your life, even if they're not dead, even if they're just living, and you have a codependency relationship and there is no proper real growth, stagnant, or even belittling, holding you back, then your subconscious is going to come and be like, move forward.
Yeah. And if you don't do it yourself, I'm going to make it happen.
And it's brutal sometimes. It's absolutely brutal. It's a lot. It's a lot. And, it's all very purposeful. But when we process it with our 3D minds, this is why I think it's so mature and such a great attitude to have when we look back at our teachers who taught us our most hardest, painfulest lessons, because they're a soul. They didn't want to come down and hurt our feelings, remembering they can't hurt our feelings. We create the feelings to be hurt. And so that was part of our journey to empower ourselves. And so we must be so grateful, because we must fucking love that soul so much to know that they could be there for us to do that. Because at a soul level, these higher dimensional beings aren't like, I'm going to ruin you. Like, it's hard for them, because we get so hurt, we're so angry, we're so everything, and we project that energy until we have learned that lesson. And so for those people who are going to play the bad guy in this lifetime, they may do a few things to be able to push us, trigger us for growth. And while we're still in our hurt, festering, scabby, pussy journey until we actually heal it, we're still projecting our anger onto them energetically. And so once we forgive them and heal from them, and then appreciate and be grateful for that lesson, then we are letting them grow as well, because we can be holding them down in a negative state as well when we call them a narcissist, fucking blah 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 blah. Like, we can really impact them too, and we don't realize how connected we are. This is why we have to literally appreciate and love those lessons and be grateful, because well, they may have done one naughty day of really like shocking us. We have punished them and impacted them the 1,000 days afterwards.
And also forgiving yourself as well, because not only do you go through that experience, but also you keep replaying it in your mind. So that's not living in the moment, and it's just it's looping, isn't it? So it's just going round and round, and you're never going to get out of that cycle, and you keep getting that experience. So, but forgiving yourself, because it's just it was a lesson, it was meant with love, and then just move on, and rather than, how about what you want in life, how about all the wonderful things that can come to you, it's always they did this, well, what do you want to do? What is it you want that brings you joy? Because your future is waiting for you. But if you keep going back into what's happened, I mean, we've all had traumatic things, and I mean, we really
Absolutely.
have.
Yeah.
But it's like not focusing on them and what they did, but what is it you want? You are allowed to say, what is it I would like, or how I'd like to feel. If you can't have something, but the emotion that you can have attached to it, how you'd like to feel.
Yeah.
And then, sort of like, and then welcome that into your life. Concentrate on you, and let them get on with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Set everyone free. Yeah.
Yes,
and then
exactly
moving
that.
forward. So, fantasize about, if we could live here forever, and, what would we do next? What would we, what if we could get anything and have everything, what would we do? What would be the true path, and what would we really need and want to be able to do in our lives? And just play with it, be fanciful, be whatever, this is creating a dream, creating a plan, creating a future here, and thinking about what would we want to do, what would be the most uplifting thing to do, and stop thinking about the shift, or lack of money, or blah 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 blah. Remove all the limitations and just get to the wish list of
Correct.
the things.
And leave on a high, basically. Leave on a like, woof, that was a great ride, like you really sort of like you've left all your sparkle trail behind you if you've whizzed past and go, woo, just take charge of your roller coaster and just go, just let go and just see where it takes you.
So I know people, love these sessions, and so they do the course because they just want to talk to the subconscious all day long. And then, they do it, and the subconscious has said, no, don't do the course. And, they need to be doing something else, but they, free will and all. And then they come back to me and they're like, oh my God, this work. There's so many people that are in pain, and they're just talking to me all day long about their problems. And I'm just like, I just want to talk to their subconscious. Like, it's actually hard work. And it's like, yeah, of course it is. And, so we have to actually be realistic with what we're wanting. What do we want? And what does it actually look like? I know lots of people who, I wanted to be a teacher because I wanted to hang out with kids. And then it's like, but I'm actually more admin than a teacher. I actually, the part of what I thought this job would be is the small fraction of what it really is. And the rest of it's crap, same with nurses, same with doctors. They had this hope to really help humanity, really help people, and be, really important for people's lives. And then when they get into the career after studying and doing all this stuff, it's actually not what they were expecting at all.
No.
And some people I know have got great training, and I ask the subconscious, what's next? What should they be doing? And they're like, oh, they should be a clerk. They should be a checkout chick. And I'm like, oh, that was quite different from what their massive, massive training was, subconscious. And they say, you forget the power of a smile. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's true. And they're like, you're just going to have this person's transaction just for a little bit with a smile and asking, how was your day today? And really be like, I actually care about you. Share with me. I'm going to have a conversation with you. I'm not afraid. But then again, it's like, well, are you going to be trying to smile with masks on? Are we trying to train people to feel into masks and the smile of what a mask is? Because it feels like when you're wearing a mask, do people even bother to smile?
Yeah, the only solution is that if you do have a mask, have one with a smile already on it. Yeah, because I tell you what, they are really great. Just don't put it the other way around because it looks sad. There's like everything. There's a way around it. Just pimp it up a bit. Just
bejazzle it.
Fun. Yeah. Full teethy smile on your mask.
Funny. Yeah. Well, we've got to try and get and reach people with joy somehow, some way, and uplift them. And that is part of our duties. And I think lots of people who are like, well, how am I supposed to help humanity? It feels like there's a lot of people and I don't know what to do. And it starts off. So if we imagine, what is truly super contagious is love and humor and joy and smiles and fun times and a whole lot of that sort of stuff. That's how we do the ripple out effect. If we smile and are kind to one person, that's going to uplift them, and potentially that could breed and create them to be motivated to pass it on to 3 people, and then that ripple effect has to, and even if it's just a single serving that just lifts up one person, that
and it makes their day, because exactly, you don't know what they've been through that morning, and it, they could have probably just said, I need something just to get me through the day, and then suddenly you're there helping them, simplest of acts, and it means so much to someone else. So we don't know what anybody else is going through, but it doesn't cost anything, does it? A smile.
Yeah. So
if
what
you can, then it's great.
What I'm hearing is people are being more expanded energetically because that's their role, because they have been, they've been pushed to transmit a whole lot of density, do a lot of their inner work, and so they're just graduating. And when they don't know how to ground themselves properly and they're just absorbing a lot of density, they can get to this breaking point where they're at this complete capacity of density, and then they have like a dark night of the soul or something, and then they are, they're trying to find exit points, and they're like, all fine, and then boom, and they are like praying, they're at their breaking point and they're praying, and they're like, if death is better than this, take me now. And they're trying to ask their teams, take me, I'm done, thank you, I'm out. And this is really heart-wrenching for our collectives, but this is when potentially they could have an opportunity for another soul to come in as a walk-in, or what the collectives also do like is being able to help them with bigger epiphanies, bigger proof that they're there and they're never alone, and all this sort of stuff. And sometimes it can really freak them out. So they're having this dark night of the soul, and then they have some vision or some epiphany or some connection where they can hear someone say, don't give up, or something that kind of freaks them out, because it's like, oh, is this demons? I'm in a dark place. Is this, am I being, attacked spiritually or whatever. And it really is significant to actually be able to know that when we ask for anything from them, they will provide. But these dark nights of the soul, where we're so saturated with density that we will actually become distraught within ourselves, where we're trying to escape, those are the really challenging times where we've got to remember how to ground ourselves. That 15-minute meditation, I'm serious, is a good one. If you cannot allow to be guided, you've got control issues. If you listen to it and fall asleep, it's too high frequency vibrations, and the soul's like, woohoo, I'm sleeping now, bye. So it's really significant how we all feel and experience that white light meditation. And I know many people find that the more they do it, the deeper relax they can get to, and that's when they're really open to their own teams being like, hi, we've always been here, how are you doing? Struggling much with your choices? You don't know me.
You've got no right to say that. But it is nice to have the confirmation, though, because that they're with you, you have your assigned team, but you still want to hear someone say they're there, or you want that little bit. And I know they're going, how many more times we show you, you're not watching, we've sent you all these and you just ignored all of them because you're too busy.
Well, it's like they can't actively hear the information, because it's just, I feel like there's so much information, and it's a lot. Some of those sessions, there's so much information, and when you hear the whole thing, you can kind of miss those important pieces that was really significant. And they just keep showing me the hand and the arm, and there is nothing in between. There is no disconnect. But then of course my critical mind will be like, well, what about those people who have no arm or no hand? They're going to be triggered when they hear this analogy. But it's like literally We're connected. There is nothing disconnecting us ever. We don't need to, this hand does not need to pray for the arm to be here, to back it up, all this stuff. And there are so many big influential people saying there is no real connection there. You've got to pray to God, baby Jesus, do some casting spells, buy some crystals. I've got them on my website, blah, 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 to be able to get that connection working. And it's like, you were born with it. You were born with it. And this is what, how could you be afraid that something could be severing and disconnecting and lurking? If you ever try to contact the arm, you're going to be getting dark entities that are going to, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's fucking fear. It's limited perspective, it's fear, and it makes people scared to trust and even try to connect in.
Yeah, but that's fear-based again, isn't it?
Well, it can be, yeah. I mean, next time, let's go to a free will planet that has no fear.
Ooh, great idea.
Drinks on me there.
Remember that one? Yeah, that sounds amazing, that one.
So what would that look like, though? What would a 3D planet that has free will and has no fear? I mean, that would almost be quite idyllic, wouldn't it? Or would there be something else? Would there be a problem? It's like so boring. It's just so beautiful. It's just that. It's just beauty.
But if you go to the 3D planet, for example, if you went to the 3D planet and as you enter the 3D planet, the fear and everything was left behind. So you would have forgotten what fear was like. So you wouldn't know any different if you were there, would you? Because you'll just be, oh, this is lovely. Because you wouldn't know any different. But
where would the fear be left behind? Because I was thinking once you leave the planet, the fear would leave. No, because that's actually what's happened. But that's what's happened to this planet, right? The energy of fear has been left when people exit. And that it's, the energy vibrations is just here. It's all a swamp, a density, a fog, a thickness of all this fear, scare, pain, hurt, resentment, all this stuff that hasn't been like thanked and healed and turned around. We're just still projecting our anger and our hurt from all our traumas. This is why, the surface, the energy surface of this planet couldn't expand, couldn't evolve. From my understanding of it anyway.
Yeah, so the new 3D planet would be really lovely then. So no fear, sort of like but like a rejuvenation, isn't it? Because it's almost like, how do you see, so like fear ingrains into you, doesn't it?
But I'm trying to think about I'm trying to think about some problems with having a no fear planet. So we would just run off cliffs. We would
jolly, how jolly.
Those lives are really quick, because we would do things like,
you wouldn't have any boundaries.
And so any other predators would eat us, and maybe having some fear kind of keeps us alive.
Survival. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm trying to already have problems with a 3D planet that has no fear.
Are you going to that one then, Jo, or are you
cartwheels off a cliff? I can't see the problems with that. But yeah, because the thing is that with 3D planets, you are physical, and so you've got to look after the vehicles. Otherwise, you're going to be noticing some problems there. So there has to be some sort of balance. But maybe what about a 3D planet that has no fear but has sort of saying like telepathy or something? I don't know. We'll have to work on that next time.
Yeah, that would that would be good. You could have like a crystal to recharge, you put that in, it's got all your data in it, and it tells you, as in, like, you don't have to fear, but it helps you recognize that could be dangerous, but you don't have the emotion of fear. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because it just,
it's the emotion, is the fear is an emotion, isn't it? So you don't have that emotion, but you need to be careful. So is it fear, like fear based is in scary, or as in like fear is there to help in some situation, make us be more careful, isn't it? So it's just teaching us to be careful, because if you, what's meant to happen is meant to happen anyway, isn't it? Because you know, if it's in your contract, it's going to happen anyway if you do go off a cliff.
Well, it's sort of like, this is why 3D planets with free will are teachable planets, because you just don't know the potluck of experiences that is going to evolve with it. And I think potentially we did have no fear because we were in tune and balance, and we never did anything that would cause us you know, extra harm. It was mindful, like, okay, well, that cliff will kill us, that big mammoth saber-toothed tiger will kill us, but it's about respecting each other in harmony and balance and all that sort of stuff. And I think, you know, when we created weapons to kill animals that potentially were supposed to keep us humble and to be mindful and all this sort of stuff, that's what it was. Interestingly, that's what Bruce Lee was wanting to tell me, to share with everyone, is about guns, and something to do with when we had guns, we didn't need to physically strengthen our bodies for combat. We became, oh, well, this is a tool. And it's like a kind of a lazy tool for what should be dealing with conflict face to face and using your minds and logic and moral compasses to settle problems, versus I'm not going to talk to you, I'm not flexible, it's my way, or, you know, and then war and all this stuff. It was really interesting. He had a lot to say, but when he came into that session, it was him at the beginning, but then it was like they wanted to explore and advance on other concepts, and so he sort of merged into his collective to talk, and I can't even remember the message now, because I've just done so much recently. But yeah, it's really interesting these times.
Very much so.
So how are you feeling now? More understanding of what's going on for you? And
yes, it makes a lot of sense, and it's a comfort, because I think sometimes when we don't know, we don't always have to have a label what's going on, but it's like when it makes sense and you can identify with it, go, that is it. And then, because it could be happening for many people, you know,
absolutely,
definitely not just me. It must be happening to loads of other, you know, in this spacey out, like, what on earth's going on? And when you've had so much trauma in your life, you know, the higher self of you is going to want to have a vacation, isn't it? You know, it's going to want to say, I can't do, you know, somebody else is going to come in, especially with the times at the moment. So
I feel like there's there's a lot of preparation that needs to take place as well, and it's not on earth. And so when we've got those other great skill sets to know exactly what needs to happen and why, you know, it's kind of like, well, what do you do with the body? Do you have an exit point? No, that body is still a vehicle of high frequency vibrations, and the you know, there's a lot going on there, and it's a significant vehicle for the other people it interacts with. And so, you know, you were prime classic, great vehicle to be jumped in. take the Palladium for a drive, you know, check out the hoods of, you know, what Earth is like right now. And this is why this, you know, they so want to help. And, you know, it still takes a moment. I know a big influencer, she had a big walk-in situation where the walk-in was going to really start spreading the bigger truths and actually be more honest with what's really going on, to prepare people, because the truth shouldn't shock us. The truth is to prepare us, and, you know, all choices and all. And then literally, as we heard in sessions, the walk-in just felt wiped out, because there was so much personal stuff and physical stuff and people in their lives. It couldn't even get up to that point of being of service to tell the truth, because there was just so much home crap to deal with. And it just totally, that soul that was going to come in and be a profound lighthouse it buckled under the pressure and couldn't, and then now it's had another walkout. So yeah, it's really interesting what we hear from sessions, because it's like, whoa, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Do you think that because obviously that for myself, I was used to exit earlier, do you think that it's okay, there's free will, but also if they want to come down and have that experience and have a walk in, that we go like, no, that's not going to happen, because we need that vessel to have that experience? Do you think they sort of put the brakes on, as we were saying earlier, put the brakes on to say, whoa, no, hang on a minute, we need to get more experiences, and we're running out of vessels to you know?
Yeah, well, a lot of people are struggling and suffering, and they aren't able to ground themselves or know how to have a bigger perspective of things. So they're having those really dark nights of the souls where they are exiting, but the vehicles are still staying here. And so this is, it's really important. It's always unique purposes and reasons why these things happen. And sometimes it's not complete walkouts. Sometimes it's additional walk-ins. There was this one stage, it was really bizarre. It was over a weekend where I could feel it was like these higher dimensional beings looking through and seeing my world. It was so bizarre. So like seeing me like cooking a meal, doing the dishes, and I was like, why are you here? And it was like they wanted to understand what a person knowing about the shift, how they didn't freak out and was still doing mundane stuff. Because for many people who are on the new earth or heading to the new earth and going, but how could people know this? What the hell were they doing? Like, why didn't they tell us? Is what their big thing is like, why didn't we know? And it's like, well, people were telling you, it was free, it was readily available. You did not want to listen to that video, you did not want to see those concepts. It's the library of the internet is there, and you distracted yourselves with crimes against humanity or so they're literally showing people these are people who know about it. They're not losing their minds. They're actually living ordinary, mundane lives still in the 3D, but they have balance and neutral with what's going on. So it was like they viewed in to see it was possible for someone to know the information and to still, live their best dishwasher, housewife role. And it was really bizarre. But it was like, and I explored it in private sessions, like what the heck's going on and why. And it was to be able to have proof that someone who knew this information was, able to actually still live and not lose your head and not, it's been a really interesting experience doing this, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely not boring. You're doing a great job.
It's a hobby, isn't it? But when we don't identify what's going on for us in our feelings, when it's that big spaghetti of energy and feelings, it's really good to be able to start unpacking that. And often we can't get to what our real feelings are because we may feel like, oh, I'm angry, blah, 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 blah. And then when you actually unpack that experience of what the triggers are, often that anger actually could be really deep hurt for things we may not have, like it's not seeing it from that one piece that actually is a puzzle. And ultimately when we scratch into the surface of what's really going on there, we're really hurt for Gaia, we're really hurt for humanity. We also know that it's great experiences, all this sort of stuff, but there is always some bigger underlying issue that we as 3D beings can't actually get to the bottom of. So we're angry for the sleeping people because they're not aware of all of the impacts that is happening to this planet, to those who are awake, who are healing and helping, and these people who are sleeping, who should be awake, refusing to acknowledge, accept, explore, all this sort of stuff. It's, But we judge ourselves because we feel this uncomfortable irritation with those sleepy people, but we don't actually understand why. And so it's about being honest with, okay, I feel like I'm judging these people. Why am I judging these people? What's really going on? And actually having that open conversation without sounding like an a-hole, and not feeling bad that we are sensing all this. And this is a time to talk, and this is time to share, and it is time to be able to really identify our own feelings, to be able to unpack it to the root of what's going on.
Yeah, so true. Yeah,
the grand awakening.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording, and thank you very much for those who are listening.